safe time. Hey, Danu.
Hey Colin, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So one, two, three, four. Actually, there's four of us. We have a quorum. Good way for Rebecca. Hey John,
Hey, Danu, how are you?
I'm good. You got your audio fixed, huh?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, we got
Good.
a whole bunch of things sorted. Hey, nice to meet everybody.
Hey, John. Nice to meet you. I know you've been on the gig for a while, but I guess I haven't been in a meeting since then. When did you start, actually?
It's really been about a month. Yeah, I
Okay.
just started at the start of January. So I think this is really our first meeting that I've been participating in
Officially. Yeah.
officially.
Yeah. Do Great. Tim's here. Chris is here. Colin, Danielle, myself, and I'm just waiting for Rebecca. I don't know if Jan's coming tonight, but you know what? I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:01. And John Stark, I'm very happy to introduce you as our new Park and Rec Director. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves to John, or John, you want to introduce yourself to all of us?
Well, I could start it off. I'm really excited to be working with you all. A little bit of background about myself. I've been, out here in Colorado for about 10 years. I worked for the city of Colorado Springs for the last 9, and for my last role there, I was the Garden of the Gods manager. I went to grad school in Colorado for natural resources and environmental law and policy. Prior to working for Colorado Springs, I worked for the National Park Service at a bunch of different park sites kind of all around the West, in a whole bunch of different roles. So I've been working kind of in parks and conservation for about 17 years. And I'm just really excited to have this opportunity to be here with you all. So that's a little bit about me. I'm married. My wife and I, we have a little boy who's 5 and an 8-month-old daughter. Probably like a lot of you, we love that to, get outside and recreate. So I'm looking forward to get to know all of you a little bit more.
Great, we're happy to have you on board.
Thanks.
All right. And then we have a new applicant for our alternate position, Candace Craig. Candace, hi.
Hello, everybody. Hi,
Nice to meet
Danu.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for your interest in PARAB. And could I ask what prompted you to apply to PARAB out of all the other boards?
Oh, well, I'm interested in other boards too, but I think right now I take the most part in the recreational facilities and parks systems. I mean, I walk through there every day. I jog through there. I take my dog through there. I see lots of things. I admire the beauty in all of the parks. And I would love to take part in making decisions to make it safe, attractive, useful, and welcoming for everyone. And also find out, some of the neat events that take place there in these various places, and hopefully I'll be able to be a little bit more active in the community that way. I've never served in any sort of government capacity, so that kind of interests me as well.
Well, we are just an advisory board, so we aren't quasi-judicial, but we're good
Okay.
at giving our opinions.
Excellent.
All righty. So I'm going to move on. And can I get somebody to approve our agenda for tonight?
I'll approve the agenda for tonight.
Great. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Colin and then Danielle. And if I don't hear any nays, I assume we will all approve the agenda. Is anybody opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. And then it's February, and every February we have to nominate and elect new board officers. And those positions are the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. And people can be nominated and be in that same position for as long as you all want, or as long as the person is willing to be. And some of the duties of the chair is setting up the agenda and running the meetings. And usually we have to go in front of council, city council, and represent PARAB, and just little correspondences here and there. So, and then the vice chair takes over running the meetings when the chair can't be there. And then the secretary takes minutes. So floor is open for nominations for chair.
I nominate Danu.
I'm happy to let someone else do it if someone else would like to do it.
I second Rebecca's nomination. Sorry, Danu.
All right, well.
Word if it matters.
All right, then everybody who approves of me continuing on as chair then? Is anybody opposed to that? Okay, thank you. I accept gracefully.
Thank
Okay,
you, Danu.
nominations. What's that?
I said, thank you, Danu.
Yes,
I
thank
know
you.
I can almost do it in my sleep now. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Tim. If you're willing, or if anybody else, I mean,
I accept unless anybody else is interested. I have to say that vice chair is the best job in PARA because I've only had to, I think, lead one meeting because Danu is always on top of it.
I'll work on that this year, okay? I'll second that. Are anybody opposed to Tim being vice chair? All right, Tim, you accept?
I do. Thank you.
All right, great, thanks. And then I'd like to nominate Chris Grow for our secretary.
I second.
Definitely
Yeah,
second
she's on
that.
Yeah, I think we all second that.
Yeah, Chris's notes are amazing.
Hopefully you accept, Chris. You're on mute. I guess that's a yay. Okay. All right, great. Is anybody opposed to that? All right, great. Then we have our chairs elected, our officers elected, vice chair, secretary.
Sorry, I
Oh.
was busy over here typing the minutes.
Yeah,
I accept.
great.
That works for me.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, do I get a motion to approve the draft of the PARAB minutes from November 7, 2022? That's a long time ago.
I move to approve the minutes without amendment.
Okay, I'll second that. All right, anybody opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. And now, let's see. We're moving on to public comments not on the agenda. I thought maybe Steve Wood would be here tonight. He gave me a call this weekend. I'll speak for him, asking about the pavilion being locked up and wanted to know if we could unlock the pavilion during weekends, which I thought we had started to do. But apparently maybe somebody decided that it needed to be locked up for whatever reason. So I think that would be worthy of a discussion at some point to maybe find out why city officials have decided to keep the pavilion locked on the weekend, when actually that's when a lot of people come and use the park. And also, someone else called me about getting the pickleball courts opened up, I think, on the weekend. So I don't know, John, if you want to sort of pursue that or take that on.
I can address both of those issues.
Okay,
For the pickleball courts, they were closed after the last snowfall. And we had some ice built up on the courts, and staff closed them so that the ice wouldn't get back down and they'd be able to remove it. This last weekend, unfortunately, there was still some ice heading into the weekend. They kept them closed. We got a number of different folks reaching out, asking about, getting them opened through Facebook and calls. So we were able to get them reopened again this morning. It was a beautiful 60-degree weekend, so all the pickleball folks were hoping to get out there. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get them open until this morning. For the pavilion was a decision from Roy and the police chief to have the pavilion closed because of some of the activity that was going on in there, and just really a decision for public safety. So there was concerns about some of the human waste that was being found in there, as well as some of the vandalism. So for the time being, they've had it closed, and it's something that we're currently reassessing. How can we keep it open in a way that we can have it open without the vandalism and without some of the safety issues that are going on in there?
perhaps you could ask the police chief to send a few more foot patrols out there. Maybe just kind of pass through the park or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It may be that we end up having it opened and they're closed, by our facilities folks in the evening, something like that too. So, we're trying to prioritize safety and, want to see that we can get it back open as well. So, it's kind of on our agenda to see what we can do to address.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think on the weekends, the maintenance people are working pretty much, and they can open up the pickleball court and the pavilion also. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for the pickleball court, our plan going forward really is that we're going to keep the pickleball courts just open as much as we can, and provide a snow shovel that's going to be available for folks to use if they'd wish. Our concern really for the pickleball court in part is that it was just resurfaced recently, and we want to make sure that we maintain that in a good condition, that folks aren't out there trying to remove snow with a shovel that has a metal edge, something like that could damage the court. So we're trying to do it for good maintenance of the court and also for the access point.
We should have shelled out for heated courts. All of those explanations sound pretty reasonable.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Come on. I feel like pickleball is probably our number one
It's
or
true.
possibly number two interest, either ahead of or behind pollinating. I mean, does anybody care about anything else? I don't know.
Well, it's true. Our pickleball courts and tennis courts really get utilized a lot. So I would hate I'd hate to keep the public locked out of their own, city
Sure.
facility.
And I'm joking. I love pickleball. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So
I pickle myself from time to time.
Yeah, so that'd be great, John, if you could kind of like work on trying to keep it open more, because you're right, this weekend was gorgeous. And a lot of people were probably wanting to get out there to play. So anything else? If not, I'll move on to item 7. We have reports. We have our PARAB reports, and Rebecca, could you give a summation of the joint meeting that we had with City Council about the Soda Springs Park Master Plan?
Sure. It was a fairly productive session. I think we came away with, Danu had us really focus on 4 main things: the artificial turf, and moving forward, we're having them drop the master plan or revise it, right, for the park. One includes artificial turf will go away. They're going to try to get some costs on whatever they're going to use that will survive. They decided to try to decrease the amount of concrete, so crusher fines throughout they're gonna do. And then they decided not to do the parking in the park, right? They made that executive decision, which was in some ways nice that we didn't have to make that. And then exclusion of the water feature. They're really bent out of shape about this fountain. And so they want to research costs for it. So that's what the folks are going to do up in Denver. And then they're going to come back to the March meeting, right, to present to us. Yep.
Yes.
So that basically summed it up, I think.
Yeah. Jan actually brought up a something that we should probably research out, which is in order to put that water feature in there, there needs to be an underground vault for the water to recirculate, and I suppose to get sanitized or purified or whatever. And I think Soda Springs Park has a really low water table. So I was going to ask you, John, if you could maybe find a company that could maybe do a boring sample to bore down to see at what depth we hit water. And it would probably around the location of where they're proposing to put that water feature, which would be as soon as you cross that little black pedestrian bridge and land kind of like, you know, right where all those paths are going to diverge. I think that's where it was kind of showing on the master plan, the old one. So maybe somewhere in that area, if we could just do like a little boring sample there to see how deep we can go before we hit water.
Yeah, let me take a look into that.
Okay.
I know that they'd also mentioned an under drain as part of something they wanted us to research, right? So I'm trying to see if I can come back with the plans from the last time the park was redone to see what was included as part of the under drain. Does that ring a bell to the new?
Yeah, well, I don't think that they ran any under drainage. Well, because none of the irrigation system would require that. I know that they had to excavate and run the main water over to the shut-off box over on Park Avenue, and that went right through the playground. But any kind of drainage would be like probably drain through the pit or have some kind of a drainage pipe off of the pit is what I would think. So I don't think any underground drainage was installed at all for that because it wasn't included. Well, it wasn't included when we were going through the phases. And then we were just only
I certainly
focused
don't
on that
remember that.
west end. What's that, Tim?
I said, I certainly don't remember that.
Yeah, no. So I don't think anything's been done, John.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's helpful.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look into that for you. Yeah, we'll talk more.
Okay. Okay. Rebecca, do you have anything else? Okay. So then,
May I ask a question? I'm sorry, I had to bail early. But was there, and I noticed it doesn't look like our council liaison is present today. Was there any discussion about whether council liaison is going to commit to any increased participation in our meetings or feedback from council? Because I still am of the opinion that all of these issues could have been resolved months ago if anybody on council ever read our minutes, if our council liaison ever came regularly to our meetings and participated in discussions, not to mention the fact that one other council member, well, at least two other council members have been our liaison in the past when the West End plans happened, when the last phase was completed, and when we moved on to this phase. Like where were these where were these questions? Where was this communication before? And what are we going to do differently going forward so that we don't go through this experience again? I mean, I didn't find the little bit that I was part of the meeting to be enjoyable. Also, I feel terrible for the time that we are wasting for those wonderful experts that we have come down from. I forget their
Denver.
names.
Or,
Yeah, from
Robin and Mia.
thank you, Robin and Mia. Yeah, and I mean, was there any discussion about that going forward?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
go ahead, go ahead, Rebecca. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely posed that because I was just tired of their talking about their issues. And I was like, look, we came here for a dialogue. Let's have a dialogue. And moving forward, we want to ensure that you come to our site visits with us. And in fact, one of the city council members was at when we were at that park the last time, and he didn't come over. I don't know why. But I asked that they would come at least because the liaison has been not great and really to none of our sites and stuff. And so I did ask for moving forward that we need to have greater dialogue because we were all, I felt, wasting our time. But is that accurate, Danu?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we expressed that directly to Michelle at our last time that she was at our meeting, that could be something she could kind of pick up the slack on. And I guess the other thing is that I could go in front of council on public comments or something and just fill them in, on the big things too, just to let them know. But I think where there was
So
confusion.
you're gonna do like the whole the old like Chevy Chase routine, like Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, and you're just gonna
I think I'm too old for that. I don't even know that.
I don't know. I just like we already have like good existing. I mean, they don't need to be involved in everything. They've got tons of stuff to do, but we have good, procedures in place for there to be communication. And I, for one, welcome, more input when we're making difficult decisions, like should there be parking or no parking or less parking or things like this in the park. I mean, these are important things to do. And I don't know, it's disappointing to have to go through all that. And then I still don't see a council liaison participated in our meeting right after that. But anyway, that's it. Again, I apologize. I had to go away for work, but for me, that would have been the most important outcome of the meeting.
Yeah. I think
that's it.
what
I said my piece.
What made it confusing, I think, was the original master plan that we kind of drew up from 2017 somehow got in their packet so that it showed the water feature in there. So I think some of the council members assumed that the water feature was still going to be included in the master plan. But I did explain to them that we all unanimously voted it down because of the exorbitant cost and that we wanted to use those funds toward other amenities in the park that could be achievable. So.
And Danu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Jen.
I had trouble with my computer getting on. That's what you get when you get a new computer. It doesn't work quite the way the other one was. I kind of remember that not everyone on the board or on the council was really wanting to have the water feature, but it was something that a couple of them anyway, if not more, wanted us to research, which I think is just fine. I think we also need to pursue with, I think what Robin was saying, as far as recirculating the water. So there would have to be a pit. It would have to be down below the water feature. And for recirculating, what kinds of maintenance needs to be done with that, and what kind of tax that will be on our maintenance crews for public works, getting those things monitored regularly, what happens in the wintertime, et cetera, et cetera.
Agreed. Yes. So.
Can I ask a quick question? I mean,
Sure.
Dana, you and Jan have explained the objection, how the water feature worked into an objection. But Rebecca, what was the objection to the turf? Like, did they voice that? I'm sorry, I couldn't be there either.
No, no. The mayor was the only one who was in favor of the turf. They had a long list of things. They just had a lot of questions around basically the chemicals, the potential for chemicals and pollution and contamination. That was their biggest concern. So, and the cost.
And I think a bunch of it was related to old style turf that you may see on football fields and soccer fields, where all of the crushed up asphalt, rubber, whatever goes flying in the air. So I think we need to get some more research on that and then bring it forward.
Yeah, because I think our consultants did a great job presenting to us about how turf nowadays is vastly different from how it was 10 years ago. So
overall, I got the impression that a lot of their minds were already made up and that no matter what we said, wasn't going to change. So again, that would be great moving forward to have someone telling us what they want. So
Maybe in the future, when we try to do master plans, maybe we take it to city council first for their input. And then take it to the public, or, tweak it or whatever. I don't know. But then you have to remember, every 4 years, city council changes with new people. So, and actually one council member made a good point, which was the next city council may not want to put up funding to finish the master plan, building it out. So that's a possibility as well. So. Any other comments you guys want to make about that meeting?
I think I agree that we should take chunks and get as much as we can done in small chunks and then call it good and then move on to the next segment, based on the funding and also possible turnover with council. But make sure we really vet each of those chunks. We have the playground approved, so we'll go ahead with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only thing I want to add is, and I'm not even sure really how to say this, but I think there does need to be more collaboration in general as well. And I felt like us PARAB members were respected, our opinions were respected, our work was respected, but I think that our partners, Mia and Robin, were somewhat disrespected, and that felt
Rude. It was incredibly rude.
It didn't feel collaborative. It didn't feel respectful. I don't ever want to put them in that position again in front of council. I thought it was really unacceptable, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I hesitate to say this on the meeting because I know that this is public record and whatnot, but I think it needs to be said. It did not feel okay to me.
right. And when there was also, when they were completely in the wrong, they did not apologize. Right. They realized that they made a mistake, but they didn't apologize. Right. And that was not cool.
Yeah. I apologized to them after the meeting. Anything else, you guys? Okay, well, with that, the other PARAB report I have here is the OREC grant that was submitted on behalf of our phase 2 for the playground and the creek walk and the sidewalk improvements. We'll know around the second quarter if we receive funding. So that'll put us April, May, June, maybe. So sometime in the spring, we'll know if we get the money. And then I think we need to revisit and figure out if we get the money, then I guess we just move ahead and do see how much money they award us. And then we'll have to put out an RFP. And then if we don't get the money, then we have $250,000 that's been earmarked for this project, and we can have a discussion about maybe doing it piecemeal, which I'd prefer not to, but it's a discussion that we should look at. But again, we won't know until the spring and which direction to go. The other thing is I checked with planning department to find out the status on the Crystal Park Road land dedication. And Candace, you might be interested in this. You know, the property on Crystal Park Road that they're developing that used to be Cheyenne Village.
Yes.
So that's probably going to be one of the last major developments or major subdivisions. And according to the planning ordinances, they are required to dedicate a portion of land to open space and parks, or do a fee dedication in lieu of land if it's not a parcel big enough, or if it's a parcel that isn't realistically able to be a park or open space, you know, chunk. So what PARAB recommended was there are 2 lots on the corner of Sutherland Road and Crystal Park Road. And we requested that those 2 lots be dedicated as park space, and that we would get a creek easement so that people using the park would have a way to get down to the creek, to utilize the creek as well.
Excellent.
So, yeah, so Hannah said that they would probably know March, April, they have the plat ready for review. And when that comes up, I'd like to invite her to do a presentation of PARAB to present that plat to us and just kind of bring us up to date with how it looks, and mostly pertaining to our land dedication request and the creek access. So that'll be in the second quarter too. That'll be in spring. And then the other item is that Matthew and I are trying to pull together some of the gardening club and other people for a tree group for our Tree USA for Arbor Day, so that we can fulfill that requirement. And so we're still in the process of pulling that together. And I think Matthew is still trying to apply for the Tree City USA designation. And I think that's all my PARAB reports. Anybody else have anything to add? Okay, if not, then we don't have our council liaison tonight. And then we have the material from OSAC. So let's move down to item 8, Parks and Rec Department, Director's Report. Do you have anything for us, John?
Yeah, I've got a few things for you all. I kind of put the director's report and our park staff report all together. So
okay.
I'll share those both here, if that's okay. The first is, speaking of Matthew Nelson has been named our interim parks manager. Seth Tyler resigned from his position recently. So he's moved on from the city, and we have named Matthew the interim parks manager while we search for a new person to fill that role. So Matthew's doing still his arborist duties as well. So, let's all find a way to help Matthew be successful in this role. Other than that, we've been doing regular park maintenance, the regular thing of trash, replacing mutt mitts, etc. Park staff have been a big part of ice and snow removal for all the different storm events throughout January. I've asked Matthew to work with me on a 2023 parks maintenance and improvement plan, really just for us to go as a staff to go through our different parks to understand what basic conditions assessments are, identify different projects and priorities for our staff to complete over the course of 2023. We've worked on winter watering for new trees at Schreiber Park. During one of our storm events, we had a large tree go down on the library lawn. So park staff removed the stump and the root ball, cleaned up. Staff have installed softball at Soda Springs and Bowers Park playgrounds, raked and hauled lots and lots of sticks at various parks throughout the department. That was removed over at the old library. It was in a state of disrepair. So park staff have saved the memorial plaque that was on it, and I'd like to discuss with you all what some options might be for putting a new bench somewhere and being able to reuse this plaque.
Where was
So
that?
it was at the old library.
Oh, right, the old wooden bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd say let's just get one of the new recycled plastic benches that we've been putting in the parks and just put it right back there and put the plaque right back on the bench.
Same location.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
I
do you
did
guys,
a.
do you guys, is that okay with PARAB?
I agree.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, because those wooden ones are a lot of maintenance to maintain. So. And probably, John, it'd probably be a good idea for you to order another batch of those benches, those park benches. Because I think we might have used them all last year.
Okay, well, I'll take a look into that. Moving down the list, we did a site visit for the public art installation with Becca Siebert at Fields Park. So we just talked about some of the logistics, and I offered the support from our department for installation as well as for removal of the fence. A question that came up was, should we remove the entire fence or just a couple of panels that are nearest to the art installation? I don't know if you all have any feedback there.
I think we discussed it and we all decided to take that whole run of fence out. Is that correct,
Okay.
everybody?
I see parents there with kids in that playground, and they use the fencing to kind of corral the kids because they're little kids. But if it's not there, it's not there.
Opinions, everybody else? Rebecca, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I think we talked about that, because originally we talked about just taking one or two sections of that chain link out, but then you guys all thought it'd be better if we just remove that whole run,
I think so.
just on that side.
Fence is an eyesore, I think, and parents can adapt, but I don't know.
I mean,
I agree.
okay. I mean, because there's another option we could do is pull out all the chain link fence and replace it with the black wrought iron fence that we've used throughout our parks to make it one continuous look. Or just, we can just pull out that one section and leave the other section up.
I kind of think if we can move to the black wrought iron or, there's vehicles there. If they're rolling, I don't know. It's right by the parking lot too, so.
I guess I think about too the kids like maybe spilling over into the recreation path, and that might not be great, but I can't remember how like close it is. But
It's not
I
that
don't
close.
like
to the
the
rec- It's not that
wrought
close to the rec park, but it is very close to the sidewalk, and just on the other side spills into the parking lot.
I'm trying to find the pictures. Right? Do you remember when you sent that out? Was that
October.
November? Or?
I think it was October.
I know, Becca came to our meeting in November, but I don't know if she had the photograph of the location.
There were some of us that met her on site there, and I think that
Right.
was October.
Right, right. I guess, we're not gonna do anything with that park immediately, are we? It can just kind of hang out the way it is for a little while.
We'll do the prep work in April, so we've got some time.
Well, maybe, you know, who we get that fencing from is Glasser Steel.
Okay.
And maybe it would be helpful if you got some pricing from them on what it would cost to, you know, replace that chain link with some of the black wrought iron.
Sure, I can take a look at that.
But then it'd have to stop short of that sculpture though, right?
It would.
Yes, yeah. How does that sound, you guys?
Sounds like we're all in favor of getting rid of the,
The chain link.
yeah. And I think that's what we had said previously.
And maybe see
Sounds
what
good.
happens.
See what the quote is from Glazer and if it's cost prohibitive, and kind of take it from there.
I do like the idea of having a fence there just to create a, I mean, I don't like the chain link fence. Nobody likes a chain link fence, but I do like the idea of a wrought iron because I feel like it provides a nice barrier between dogs too, that might be off leash, or that I'm just thinking of my own dog, you know, he's never off leash, but you know, he gets all excited, and I think it just helps parents feel safe having their kids, you know, well, just having that extra, you know, hedge of protection there. But I can see why you wouldn't want anything there either. It would look pretty without one, but I like the idea of the wrought iron fence personally.
Well, if you guys want to go by there and look at it sometime, I think we still have time to figure that out. And then, you know, if you have any thoughts or opinions, you can weigh back in next month. And meanwhile, we can just get a quote on what it would cost to replace it with the black wrought iron, because I was just thinking just now, you know, that back fence that kind of faces toward the pickleball courts. I mean, there's not really any danger there for kids running out, not unless yeah, because it's open on the other two sides, really. So, you know, I don't know. It'd be good if y'all could go by and look at it and see, and just visualize what it looked like without the fence, or maybe just fencing on the one side of the park, or maybe we could run a fence that is closest to the parking lot, and then just, you know, then it would run into the sculpture, so that might not look so good either.
I think everybody having a look would be a good idea for the March meeting.
Yeah, let's do that, because that's the easiest access to the restrooms too, is that way. So,
Thanks for all that. And then, you know, my last update really is about the Adopt a Park program that, you know, we're looking to meet here to discuss what the program looks like for 2023. Put together some kind of communications plan to offer that out to the community, that there are these different parks available for you to adopt and to come and be a part of helping us to maintain and you know, keep these parks up for the community. So there's going to be more to come about that.
okay, great.
And that's it for me for now, unless any of
Okay.
you have any questions.
Any questions for John?
I just want to say welcome on board again. When I saw you before, but welcome, John.
Hey, thanks so much.
Officially. Okay, so let's move on to new business. We need to set our 2023 priorities. So I think the first thing on our list would be finalizing the master plan somewhere in the spring or summer. Identify what phases are available after we find out if we get funding or not for phase 2 of the playground. And that'll be spring and summer. And maybe either outline a plan, start beginning to outline some framework or some kind of a plan for the flats, development of the park up there, as well as maybe a new park development at Cheyenne, Crystal Park Road. But I don't know, that one might be better off for 2024. So that those were the first things that came to my mind, and anybody else can add on or
I would agree that we really need to focus on doing whatever we can and in chunks and be not assertive necessarily, but definitive about the Soda Spring Park and what we want to get done in sections, so that can move forward in a progressive way. And we've been talking about the flats for years, so let's at least try to get a next step with the flats.
okay.
Danu, I apologize if I kind of lost track over the holidays about the rec center feasibility study, but where are we standing on that right now?
John, you want to take that one?
Trying to call and really understand where are we standing with that right now. In fact, I sent out an email to some of the different folks who were involved in putting the feasibility study to say, you know, hey, where are we at with these different items? Last I knew, we were waiting on some soil samples, but you know, there's different degrees of information that have come in. You know, since Skylar left, I imagined to different folks. So I'm trying to really pull that all together at this point. And really, I've just gone straight to them asking, hey, you know, fill me in where we're at.
Yeah, yeah.
So that consulting team that came in and gave that presentation, and I was there, Danu, as you know, for the public input section. Have we received their complete report yet? Or that's still part of what's happening?
From what I can understand, that's still happening.
Okay.
Because they put everything on hold until they could get the soil sample back to determine whether or not you can even build any more on that site. But what I'd like to pursue on that we could maybe accomplish, or that maybe John, you could start picking up the ball on, is we reviewed the blueprint layout for the locker room and restroom upgrades for ADA accessibility. So I'd love if you guys could start moving on that. And
we have I've actually put an RFP together for that, and we're waiting to put it out. There's you know, some ongoing issues with the roof at the pool facility, so I want to kind of take a look into that as well, just to you know, see what some of those issues might be. So when we're ready to do put the RFP out, you know, it's ready to go.
So John, just curious, with the pool, Shriver Pool, when we've had snow, they've had people up shoveling off the area where the equipment is for exercise. Are they still doing that? Are they needing to do that because of the roof leakage?
There's been a roofing company that we've worked with to do some repairs in there over the exercise facility. You know, I think what we're looking more towards is just the overall condition of the roof for the facility as a whole. So, you know, there's more to investigate at this time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess I'm assuming there's funding to do the upgrades for the locker room and the restroom.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's ADA funding. I believe it's $150,000. So just want to make sure that if we're going to be doing that work, that issues that could be, are addressed before we do that kind of project.
Well, I think maybe you could take some of that money out of capital improvements, the capital improvement fund. Because I somehow had some kind of notion that city council had approved funding for that project, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. So anyway. Okay, does anybody want to add on to the 2023 goals and priorities?
What about expanding or at least looking into expanding recreation opportunities? I
Okay,
feel like we got off to a great start in the last couple of years, getting some youth sports things up and running. And
Yeah.
I think number one, maintaining that, but also building on that, making sure that we're able to accommodate like the needs for those sports locally, for practices or things like that. And then continuing to look for more opportunities to offer additional recreation activities.
In the past, I've brought up about having like little fitness stations located along the creek walk or somewhere a lot like that. Are you guys still interested to maybe kind of look into that? Maybe even if we could even just get one done. Because I know that that's going to be a lot of planning and a lot of prep work and expense too.
How much do we really know about the creek walk as it presently stands? I think we're still in the midst of making improvements on that and getting easements, et cetera. So were you thinking of between, like, say, Adams Crossing and all the way to Shriver?
I think I guess when I was thinking about it, I was sort of visualizing somewhere along Fields Park, like maybe on the creek side. Or maybe down by where CSU did all the utility improvements, but I would hesitate only because I don't know how much damage they'd have to tear that up again if they had to access those gas lines. But I'm assuming, hoping that they're done doing all the tear out and everything since they resodded that area up to that concrete vault. But somewhere along there or along even along the stretch between the around the pool area even. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, what about like
I'm open to any.
improving?
I'm
Yeah,
open
what
to
about improving some of the
suggestions.
stuff that's there by the basketball court?
Yeah, we could do that there too, actually.
Because I mean, aren't there already some things there?
Yes, there's those old timbers with the little chains with the little posy things that you can like swing like Tarzan, and like bars like that. I mean, it'd be great to utilize, but a lot of it is outdated, but it still
I
seems to be
think,
pretty good.
yeah, I think we should remove what's there and maybe replace it with something else. And then on the north side of the Shriver Pool along the rec path, there's a pretty good fall off towards the pool, towards the fence line. So I don't know about the space there.
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
yeah, that's pretty steep there, huh?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't be conducive to that. But
Mm.
as you come up either the steps or the gradual ramp, there could be something so that people could do something for exercise and look down at the kiddie pool.
Yeah.
Just some ideas, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on a field trip sometime if you guys want to go for a walk, we can kind of maybe
Sounds good.
identify,
Yeah.
maybe identify two or three locations maybe
Mm-hmm.
where it might be suitable to have some kind of fitness station there. I really would like to try to do something that would be, and originally I was thinking it'd be great to to blend in for seniors and have parkour people be able to use it too, but I don't think that that's feasible
think
or
we-
realistic.
I don't think we have the space for that, for those
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, I don't think we do either, so. Okay. Anything else, you guys? Okay, well, I think that's plenty for 2023. So,
I would say for the Crystal Park Road, let's put that in 24, just because we don't even know if we're gonna get that plot of land.
okay.
That, because that would take a lot of planning and, right, but like, I'm excited about it and I will be thrilled to see what comes of that, but I think we have a lot and
Yeah.
smaller bits. Maybe.
I think we do too, but it's good to have a, I'm trying to, we can do a little framework. So does anybody want to say, well, I guess we can just figure out by the seasons, take it by the seasons this year. I mean, so the master plan and Soda Springs, that's pretty much spring, summer. And then when do you guys want to try to start angling toward the flats?
I do want to say, for me, I think that falls lower on the list of priorities. I mean, I know that it's been years in the making and it matters a ton to many, many people, but I think from a public usage perspective, anything that we can do with the aquatic center might be, hesitate to say more beneficial, but immediately more impactful. And maybe I stand alone on that, but I'd like to see some more I prioritize personally more forward motion with the aquatic center than I do at the flats right now.
Yeah, well, that's John's department. So John can be doing that, but PARAB can still be moving forward on the flats too for park master plan development. But yeah, maybe fall, winter, something like that, you guys.
Well, I was gonna say, wasn't there something about a boulder that they wanted to dedicate? And so you brought in that notion that what we're trying to do up at the flats.
Right, that's
So
true.
that might be something to like discuss again with city council so that we're at least somewhat, because they might have a little bit more sway with some of these things too. But
Right.
just- again,
Well,
to get started, because we're not going to develop a master, like, I think that's more next year, follow like
Absolutely. Like,
start the process.
like Chris was saying about, you had said something about defining our goals and how we're going to get there and developing a strategy of doing a framework basically. So yeah, if we could just kind of have start a discussion on that of just starting this whole thing out, that would be great.
I think
And-
with each project, we need to have a mission statement
Okay,
that we kind of revisit throughout the project, throughout the, stages of,
what would you say the mission statement would be for the flats?
well, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a great question. But I don't think I could just I think we need to come up with that as a group. And I think we need to take into account, community input, stakeholders.
City council.
Yeah. Because I think until we have that mission statement, that vision, we don't really know what we're working toward. And I think oftentimes what I've seen on this board is we'll start working on a project and then halfway through it, we'll sort of pivot and then do like another thing. And, and we don't have that. We've never had this practice of coming up with a mission statement for each project. And I think it could be just kind of like help us guide our way through it. I don't know. Does anyone have any? input
Well,
on it?
I think it's I think the reason why we pivot is because we get all that input from everybody, so we have to pivot and change. So, but the vision kind of, what you're talking about is having the vision, right, Chris? Instead of a mission statement, having the vision for what we want to ultimately end up with that space, have it look like.
Yeah, but I think it would be a good way to, this could be a good way to communicate to council too and say, this is what we heard from the community. This is what we heard from Save the Flats. This is what we heard from council, and then we have incorporated all of those ideas into our mission statement. And then it would be kind of like something we could fall back on as we're communicating why we've made just certain decisions, or why we've prioritized certain aspects. It would give us like a leg to stand on.
I think we should try to include, especially for the flats, open space too. So they would
Absolutely.
be
Well, right, yeah.
incorporated, and just to indicate, as we're doing our vision mission, that as we're coming to that, and we would incorporate what they feel is the need as well.
Well, I think OSAC, I think one of their top priorities is trying to get a trail from Serpentine up to the flats. So that'd be great if we kind of like work with them on, well, to collaborate anyway.
And I
'Cause
think we've done a lot of the groundwork already, we've already met with Save the Flats. We've met with OSAC. We have notes of what those groups want prioritized. And so I think we can easily plug that into a mission statement, or, a vision.
Let's hope it's easily, but I do think we need to have a little mini work session at the end of a meeting, maybe in May or something like that. May,
Yeah.
June, early on, before we get too far in the weeds, to just kind of get a focus with the flats.
Right.
Yeah, I think though what Chris is saying, and again, I kind of am on board with what she's saying, because I think it's a way for us to move forward in a very coherent manner, and that we've met with everybody we need to, and we've incorporated because we often do due diligence, and then we're expected to go again and again, and we don't. It will help maybe streamline the process. I think in a way that's what Chris is talking about too, right? And so we have it to fall back, but we've already done these things. Look, we're sticking to the mission with incorporating, but again, game plan. Yeah.
So Tim, what we were just talking about was, in regards to Higginbotham, is I suggested coming up with a mission statement or a vision, basically a mission statement in regards to that project, and what do we want, just to be our guiding light through the project. And I think that, sometimes things come up like, solar power on top of the, pavilion, the shelter or whatever. And then we can, whatever the idea that comes up, we can go back to our mission statement and be like, hey, does this align with what we are trying to do? Is this extra? Is this meeting connectivity? Is this meeting low maintenance? Is this meeting what the community members want from a park? And if it's not, then maybe we don't prioritize it so much. But if it is, then we can explore it more. But I think we just need to not be so scattered. I think it'll help us focus.
I agree.
And I mean, this is what people do when, this is not, let's not reinvent the wheel. This is what people do when they work on big projects or,
Yeah, this is like the first class this is like the first thing you do when you take an organizational management class.
I have not done that, but I have somebody in my household telling me how to work on big projects. And he said, you have to make a mission statement.
Grants on this already?
He's a smart one.
I know.
Hey, can I just throw this out real quick as part of our vision mission statement? We had discussed about the flats, honoring the indigenous people, the natives, and maybe having like a cultural park in honor of the indigenous people. Do we still feel okay about doing that?
Yes.
It makes me.
Yeah, I think first we need to have outreach to the communities to see if they are interested in it at all, because they get first say. I would, we could put this big park and they could say, I hate this. And that would be cool. So I think the first thing is outreach to see if that's maybe even an option. And that's why I'd recommended Anna, because we have relations, right? And she has great relations with a lot of the youths. John knows who I'm talking about, but.
And actually, Rebecca, John knows Anna. 'cause
Yeah,
she's
that's
worked
what
with her.
we chatted about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would maybe, and again, I think it would be good though, just to touch base with, say, city council and say, look, we want to have these discussions. Are you on board?
I did run it by the mayor, because the mayor is on the Indigenous board, that is in charge of the Indigenous Day, because he had sent me an email saying that they were thinking about putting another boulder next to the one that's existing next to Patsy's in front of the spa building, where is that Shoshone Springs there, or Cheyenne Springs, I think it is. And really, there isn't that much room there. So I said to him that there was all of these boulders that were up on the flats that they removed when they did the MAPS project. And there was one gigantic boulder that they had to blast apart to get it out of there because it was so huge. And they put it up there right on the corner of where the property kind of is. And I looked at it last time, and the face of it looks great. But unfortunately, it faces the highway. But I don't know if that's a bad thing, but there's that possibility to do a plaque. They were wanting to do another engraving or another plaque to honor the indigenous people some way. And that was, I think, Highway 24, or actually that whole area up there at one time, rumors said that was a gathering grounds for the indigenous people tribes.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important, brother, to see if they want a plaque or they want a little bit more than just kind of like, oh, look, you are here, we have your land now, cool, right? Like, we have to be really aware of how we proceed, I think. But outreach is the first step, I would say.
Yeah. So maybe we could start a subcommittee when we get down to that, or if you guys want to start doing a kind of we can talk about this next month or whenever, to start forming a kind of like steps forward in between Soda Springs Park. And maybe we can combine all the stuff a little bit here, a little bit there.
Well, why don't we start with dedicating some time on our agenda next month to just talk about this.
Okay. Let me think. Well, no, because Robin and me are going to be presenting the Soda Springs Master Plan for us in March. So it'd have to be like probably April, Tim.
Okay.
And then we'll need time for a presentation for planning department too. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Opinions? All right, if not, in other business, Jenna Gallus resigned as our alternate. And it was ironic because when Jenna resigned, Candace applied. So,
I'm glad to
another-
be here. Thank you.
oh, yeah. Please feel free if you want to come back for another meeting, or if you have a good feeling about being a good fit, us being a good fit, then I think the process is you have to, I wonder if you have to submit a letter to city council, or you might have to just appear in front of city council. And
Oh,
then
oh,
the ci-
for an alternate?
Yes, they have to
Oh,
approve you.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
It's not hard. You just, just stand up there and just, say what you said tonight.
Okay. And when do I do that?
The city clerk will let you know.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll double check to see if you have to write a letter as to why you want to be on the board. You might have to write a letter as to why you want to be on the board, but I'll check and get back with you and let you know.
All righty.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else have anything else that they'd like to add? No, if not, then I'll adjourn this meeting for tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Danu.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Ron, nice to meet you and welcome, Candace.
Yeah,
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah.
Likewise. Have a great week.
All right, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.